Hello and welcome to Sunday Run Day, the podcast. This week, I'm super excited to have a guest on the show that is completed in an incredible challenge, the 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 continents. So first thing, I'd like to welcome Ben. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure, Clint. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No, I really appreciate you, getting back to me after I reached out to come on the show, just to share your story about this amazing challenge. So, first of all, I asked the question of, why did you want to take on this challenge? What sort of gave you that inspiration to say, I'm going to do the 7 marathons, the 7 days, and 7 continents?
Yeah, it's a big one. So just to give a little context and a little bit, I guess, of backstory to my life, I also, like you, grew up in England. I spent 18 years of my life in England. Played rugby, was athletic, but did a lot of. I like the short stuff. I like the sprinting. More than once around a track was too much for me. Played rugby, like I said. Didn't play football. I think you said the soccer. You played soccer. I'm going to correct you there.
Yeah,
Being British.
well, it
Uh,
is football. You're right. I was
I
just,
didn't.
sometimes when you
Yeah.
speak to some people, football, soccer, it can be
Right.
that. Living in Australia, they call it soccer. So I have to,
They
I
did,
try and correct people, but you're right, football.
yeah. So yeah. And I can run and kick a ball. I can't. I can run. I can kick a ball, but I can't run and kick a ball. So rugby was more my sport. I have a friend who's a phenomenal soccer player, football player that lives here, and he's a phenomenal ultra runner as well. Anyhow, but I was smoking and doing a lot of things in high school that I got out of my system in high school, but I was athletic, but never really, again, ultra distance or long distance running was not my thing. And it wasn't until I moved back to California, which is where I was born. I just happened to be raised in England by my mother, that I signed up for the first marathon, Big Sur Marathon, which is an organization I now work with. I've been working with for 20 years. But this 777, the Great World Race, as it's otherwise known, piqued my interest. I want to say way back when Michael Wardian ran it. I remember him, and I'd kind of been an acquaintance of his over the years, and I remember him running it and setting this phenomenal record of 2:45 average, I think is what he ran. It was the year Ryan Hall ran it with him, but Ryan Hall taken a step back from running and did pretty well, but Michael had the record. And I'd heard about it over the years, and then I saw the price tag, which is not, of course, a bit of a discouraging factor. So I had was kind of cash poor. I had a house. Fortunately, I was able to sell my house, and my realtor is actually a prior Olympian. And I mentioned it to her. I was like, "Hey," she says, "Ben, you're like, you don't have the money in your pocket. Like, let's sell your house." And we sold it, and then I had my money in my pocket. And it was at that time I'd gone back and forth with race director David Kelly at the time. We'd been going back and forth a little bit. He knew I was interested, but I was like, "Hey, I just want to learn about it." He got on a Zoom call with me, and then called me up when there was 4 spots, and then he contacted me when there was 1 spot left. And I felt like it was just almost meant to be. Got a little price break on it. He's like, "Ben, if you call me right now, let's talk about this." He had 2 people drop out, and I jumped into it. I had done 100-mile races prior to that, so even though it was daunting, it probably wasn't as daunting for me as it was for others. Uh, Again, 100 miles is probably the maximum I've done in a week, maybe 110 miles. This was more like 183 miles, so it was a lot more weekly mileage. But that's why we sign up for these things, right? We want to test our limits, see what we're capable of, as well as the experience. I thought one of my friends was like, "Ben, you're doing it all for the gram." I was like, "No, no." I'm like, there's a little bit ego there, but it's like I also want to, just a lifelong experience something that I can look back on and say, "Hey." And I'm so grateful. I was fortunate to be able to do it both physically and financially. So
No, that's incredible. And as you say, yeah, just sometimes it's meant to be, right? You kind of look at it and the way
uh,
things worked out for you, and it was just kind of meant to be to sign up. And yeah, obviously, as you say, kind of doing 100 milers, you kind of had that already experience of being able to do the longer distance. But then over a course of a week, it's definitely that challenge. And you do want to challenge yourself. We want to go out there and try and do those challenges and see what
right.
we're capable of. So obviously, the 777, talk us through it. We have obviously 7 different ones. Talk us through the 7 that you competed in.
All right. I guess in a nutshell, I'll kind of run through them. So we met in Cape Town. First one was going to be Antarctica. So that was number one. Then we went back to Cape Town to run number two, then on to Perth, Australia. My only time in Australia, unfortunately, and it was definitely not long enough. I've always wanted to go, and I've always wanted to go to Perth, but a little more than 12 hours. um, Perth was number three, and then we went to Istanbul, where we ran two. There was the two continents, European and Asian continent, and then we went to Cartagena, Colombia for a number six, and then the final one was back here in the United States in Miami, another place I'd never been, but kind of went the long way around to get to Miami. I guess I could have just got a flight there, but yeah, that was it, kind of in a nutshell. I will say that things didn't go out quite as planned, so we had to move everything up a day. So we get to Cape Town. I got to meet some really awesome people. I'd only heard about a couple people that were doing this. So there's 60 people that go on this adventure, right? Typically every year. And there's two organizations that put these events on. The other one I think is called World Marathon Challenge. But this was the Great World Race. And got to meet up with Ashley Paulson. I'm not too sure if you've heard of her. She's a iFit champ. She's an ultra runner. She almost broke the overall course record at Badwater. She's amazing, and she's just this ball of energy. Her and her husband are just the most wonderful people. So I met her. We went and saw the penguins with her and her husband, and Shireen, who's a Olympian for uh, Lebanese Olympian. She's an alpine skier and marathon runner. So she competed in the Olympics. So she was with us, and we got to go check out the penguins. And I kind of joke because it's like penguins kind of waddle around, like that's going to be me on marathon number five. It's like it just looks look like how I'm going to be moving because I knew I'd be feeling it by that time, right? The travel and the toll of all of that. So we learned in the briefing that we were going to be after we did a shakeout run. Some of us we were going to be leaving the next day because for Antarctica because the window of weather was good. It was about to change, so that if the cloud cover is below 8,000 feet, they can't land in Antarctica. And we were landing in a place called Wolf's Fang, which is essentially the name of the runway. It's put on by a group called White Desert, so they have a very elaborate accommodations there. It's a nice spot, but everything was just again moved up a day because of the weather window. So I don't know what would have happened had we not been able to go on that day. If we'd have to move it to the end. I'm not too sure, but fortunately, even though things don't go as planned, and I think that's what I learned from the first. I think I like to try to share a sort of a lesson from each experience, each
Yeah.
continent that I went to, and that was that one. It was just things don't go as planned. Even though I was a little tired and didn't get that extra day of rest, we went there, and it was idyllic. I think we met at like 5 in the morning at the hotel. Took a 5 hour flight. It's due south of Cape Town. Um, on one of those, I can't remember the exact name of the Airbus, but it's one of those ones that can land on that glacier essentially. And we ran around 4 6.5 mile loops around the runway. Beautiful. There's the mountain range in the background. Didn't really see any wildlife, but it was very surreal. And I guess before you re-asked that question, that probably was my favorite, just because of the uniqueness and the
Yeah.
being able to go and experience something that I'd probably never be able to experience. Which comes at a cost. To go to Antarctica, it comes at a cost anyway. So it went pretty well. I ran a 3:53. I won't put all my medals on, but we got a medal for that one. I think I'm trying to the winner of that was the guy that kept holding the record for every marathon. He's a little Irish guy, a drinker and a smoker. Go figure. Uh, just this little guy who's an amazing marathoner. He ran high 230s for a lot of those marathons. And I'll elaborate on him a little bit later. But so yeah, then kind of had 8 hours to do this. We were really well fed in Antarctica, and then jumped back on the plane and headed back to Cape Town, where we ran our second marathon. Which I also ran a 3:53 on the nose. So, and I think that one I learned that it's good to wear a funny hat. I put these funny hats on for each of these races. That like I was a giraffe hat for out South Africa, of course, and I had this funky like reggae hat on Rasta hat, whatever you call it, on for Antarctica. It's just kind of fun, just to lighten the mood a little bit.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. So and that's where we picked up. So Cape Town, it was much warmer. We're just running on a rec trail, so we're seeing some of these courses. These were loops. The first two were loops, but a lot of them we would see each other as we would pass by each other. So
Yeah.
we're just giving each other support all the time, and shouting, cheering each other on, and doing what we can to lift each other's spirits. But that's where we picked up the plane for the rest of the journey, which is the Rolling Stones tour plane.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, it was really cool. Again, I joke that Keith Richards didn't leave me and he picked me up in the seat. I was hoping I had a Keith Richards cocktail or something to keep me going, but I didn't need it. But yeah, they're nice reclining seats, and you can lay out flat, and they feed you like a buffet as we would get on board. And like I'm plant based, so Michael Warden had told, who's also pretty much plant based, had told me that you better take some food because you're not going to be catered to as well as a vegan probably. But I was fine. I was everywhere I went, I had really good sustainable or satiating food like and meals. So, uh, but
No,
yeah,
that's good
that's
to know. Yeah, I'm same. I'm plant based as well. So
oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's good. Yeah, it's good to know
totally.
that. Yeah, going on these these sort of adventures and stuff, they do cater for you as well, and you feel pretty at home. And because yeah, that is the challenge sometimes as sort of a plant based athlete to make sure you're getting what you kind of make sure you're getting your protein, make sure you're getting everything that you
Right.
want to do with that, and carbs along with that. So when you kind of go to these events, you do worry a little bit that they might not cater for you. So you do always think about taking your own stuff. But that's good that they obviously catered really well for you to make sure you had everything, along for the all the marathons.
Yeah, yeah. They in Antarctica they gave me a little. I think White Desert basically provided me a little like a cooler bag full of some goodies. It was really good, and the food actually on Antarctica was really nice too. They had this like good spread of food, and yeah, yeah. It's funny. I on that I think. Not that it was because of this, but a lot of people had like stomach issues, and I brought probiotics just in case something like that, did happen. But a lot of people probably got something, but they had stomach bugs that thankfully didn't affect me, and I think my recovery is largely good because of being plant based a lot of the time. Maybe I can get away with more. I don't know. That can be a little bit lazy when it comes to stretching and those kinds of things, which are also very important.
So moving on to Australia, how coming here where I am, how do you find it?
I'll start with a lesson I learned in Australia. I think as well as my new friend Jenny Simpson, who's an Olympian for in the 1500 meters. So she ran won a bronze, but I just know that like she was just bowled over by the fact that people were just so hospitable. I mean, to me, it was like the epitome of like hospitality and altruism, and just people that were just kind, supportive, out there cheering us along the way, and I think it would just help lift my smile. And I would uh, probably one of the more beautiful courses we had. It was really pretty. It was along the oh, now I've forgotten the name of the river. Is it not Swan? Swan River? Is it
One
Swan
River.
River?
Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure. I remember there's the river just right into the center of Perth there. Yeah.
right, and the bridge. This begins with an M. The name of the bridge. I remember looking it up. It's got these lights on it in the evening. So it was at dusk. It was just a beautiful setting, and I would. It was an out and back course on a rec trail. They had to kind of contain these races because they're basically mapping them out. They want to keep everyone pretty close. They're setting them up on the fly, so all that takes time, right? But we would see everyone, and there was a group of strong, quite beautiful women running back, like that were running in the front packs. They stayed together for probably the first three marathons anyway. And then over time, like some of them stayed together, and then they started to split up. But they would pass me, and they were like, "Be so he's always smiling." They would say, and I'll be like, and of course, when you see them, it's not hard not to smile too. So I would hang with them a little bit, like Ashley being one of those people, because I was like, oh, "This is my only chance of getting a picture from your paparazzi," because she had their like one of her photographers come with her, so I just kind of joke around with them and hang with them. But they were running a blistering pace. I mean, I think that particular marathon they ran a sub 3. That
Wow.
was their fastest, yeah. So this just helping each other along the way. It was really cool to see. And there was a few guys in that mix as well that were with them or in front of them. So yeah, it was, there's probably some good hills and that they had a good little climb in that course. But then on the return, it would be a downhill.
Yeah.
That one I was missed my 3:53 consistency by 1 minute, so I got a 3:54 on that one. So I was pretty consistent up until then. So yeah, that was, and then they fed us pizza and vegan pizza as well, beer, whatever we wanted. Like they had I think it's a marathon club that basically hosted us.
Oh wow, that's
And
amazing.
it was 21st birthday party going on right next to us too. It was kind of fun to kind of see all that happening. But yeah, we had showers and yeah, really felt looked after. And then we jumped on a plane and went to Istanbul. Now Istanbul, we ended up on the European side. Istanbul was going to be the only place where we were going to get a hotel overnight. And flying there, we actually landed in Madrid. We had to refuel. We had to go around the Gaza Strip, kind of south of the Gaza Strip, and then for good reason, and then we landed in Istanbul. And it was all again didn't go as planned. Got there late. It was raining. There were these fishermen that were like literally fishing at 9:30 at night, casting lines along our course, and the course was terrible. It was just like looked like someone had taken a sledgehammer to the pathways, like all beaten up. Had these cement rises, and I'm sure it was beautiful. We just couldn't see around us, and it was raining. It was cold, and we started much. We're standing around trying to keep warm, huddled in these little tent, waiting for these fishermen to basically stop fishing. But they eventually just taped them off with caution tape, so we couldn't run close to them, and they couldn't back up close to us. And I think about after about an hour, they all disappeared. But this out and back course was just, and I think we ran it 20 sometimes out and back with the headlights. And I remember Jenny Simpson, again, the Olympian, saying to me, because I had talked to her a little bit before, she saw me hanging my head down as she could see my light down. I'm also looking where I'm going, right? But she says, lift your head up. And I was like, all right. And that's a lesson I think I took away from that one. Just like keep your head up. Because she told me later, her coach used to say, "There's nothing at your feet but defeat." So you gotta, keep your chin up.
Yeah.
But I tend to off trip sometimes too when I run a lot of ultras. I trip on the smallest route, so try to, also look where I'm going. But that was, yeah, that was a tougher marathon. I ran a 4:03 on that one, and then went back to the hotel. People were kind of grumpy. They were a little bit getting a little irritable with the people at the hotel, and I'm just like, hey guys, like we signed up for this. They didn't expect us all to roll in at four in the morning. By the time we got bussed back,
Yeah.
and I was probably in bed for 2 hours. Nice hotel. I had a really nice breakfast there. Um, very little sleep. It was actually I was looking forward to getting some downtime there, but it really didn't happen. Nowhere that we went did we have a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
Got up and actually ran my best marathon on the Asian side the next day. So um, yeah, I think like during that one, during all these marathons, I would basically try to break it down in small digestible chunks because again, I knew I was going to be feeling it at this point in time. But the half mile mark of each mile, I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna relax. I'm gonna check in. I'm gonna breathe deep. Maybe smile because smiling always relaxes you. Practice some positive affirmations. Back off the pace a little bit, just making sure I'm really relaxed. And I think that really helped break up the mile because then I had that mile mark, when it would ping on my watch, that would kind of be another little reward, right? A little victory.
Yeah.
And just, I think that worked for me really well. And it helped me kind of accelerate through those slow periods a little bit. And I was running with this guy named Tarek, who's a phenomenal runner, but I don't think Tarek had done any marathons.
Wow.
So when I do these like presentations on this event, I like to call it, one, I call it 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days, one community. Um, and just again to back up a little bit, I have the community here that supports me and that has basically given this fledgling runner wings and helped me run marathons and ultra marathons and been with me every stride of the way. We have just a great, rich running community here in Monterey, California. And then the community that we formed, once I met everyone on the plane, we all became like best friends overnight. And the communities that we went to, Perth being a prime example of that, right? I mean, just the support that we felt in these communities as a whole. So, I feel like that really carried us throughout the process. And there was and some of the people I kind of glossed over, but the people that I met right off the bat, there was two guys with one lung that did this, a guy with terminal brain cancer that did this. There was a 81-year-old man that did the half marathon version, but he's been there 3 times, and I think he's going back again this year. Phenomenal. And he was actually the one who's was able to get the permit changed in Miami when we got to Miami because his son-in-law is the old Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. So he had connections, right? Uh, and there were Olympians, there were people that had never run marathons before, like Tarek, and again, strong runner, but a lot of new territory. I mean, they would give all these guys would start off zealously, but they would like peter out, and it would give you 8 hours, so people could walk it. There was a lady that wore fire gear for every race, and her counterpart did the same thing in England at the same time. So she did 7 counties in England. Her name's Bex. So we had two Bex. We had a Bex that's the who's the Peloton instructor, Bex Gentry,
Okay.
very huge following. And then we had Bex, the rather larger build lady from England, and did all, and she walked it, and it's like they're both lovely people, both British. And the first Bex lives in New York now, and the other one still lives in England. But the cool thing about her is the Miami Marathon, the firefighter, the Miami Marathon, that they came down and walked with her. The Miami Fire Department walked with her.
Wow.
Uh, so it was really cool, and they were suffering. It was warm, and they were just like, you could see them. They were wearing the tanks and everything, and just a couple miles of the event, and they were, that's all they did pretty much. But it was really cool to see them support her because they heard that she was coming, and even though she's from a different land, it was neat to see that.
And I think it's like, as you say about the community, I think it's what I love about the running community. But just what you've touched on there as well is just the community in general around running. Like that's just
uh,
such an amazing tribute there. Say going to Miami and the firefighters, just
yeah,
even if it's a couple miles, just to finish off the course with her. That's such a touching thing, and it would have meant so much to her as well. But I just think that's, you say, that community around it. Once you go to these, when you go to these events, like we get the opportunity when we go to big events, and you don't really get that community feel. You get that runner feel, and you love the community because you get to run with other people. But when you're with, they say 60 people just all together for 7 days carrying out the same challenge, it's just that togetherness that brings you together. And I love that, and I love that you experienced that. And that's kind of, as you say, it's the 777, but the one community as well, that you all kind of come together, and you're all walks of life, so many different people, and you're all just there supporting each other, encouraging each other. Yeah, that, for me, that's what I love the most about the running community.
yeah. My friend sometimes says I need different friends, like it's because I mean, it's almost dangerous. I'm on this text app with all these runners now, athletes, and yeah, we've shared this great life-changing experience together, right? And worked through the struggles of it together, and that's half of it, right? But yeah, I mean, we also say like, hey, do you want to get up at 4 in the morning? I'm meeting a friend. I'm getting up at 4 tomorrow to go out to Tassajara and run my friend into a Zen center. She's staying there all week, and she wants to run in. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Even though I got a busy day, I'm there. Like, so we kind of joke around like we need different friends. But no, it is like, just like you said. I mean, it's I mean, it really is part of it. You're doing something healthy together, and you're growing together, and sharing in the pain together of it, and the growth through it as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely. No,
yeah,
100%. It's just, yeah, I love that. As you say, just, yeah, sometimes our friends, they get us on different challenges, and you hear about all these challenges and all these
yeah,
other runs, and you're just like, well, yeah, it looks like I've got to sign up for that as well. But no, I think that's just incredible from what you've achieved as well. Say just, the toll on your body as well for the 7 days. How did you feel like, to cope with that? As you were kind of, as you say, get into the later stages, the first
yeah,
few marathons, you kind of feel that, you say, a few people a bit overzealous, and you're feeling good, you're out there enjoying it, but then as you kind of, the toll takes on your body, how do you feel and how do you manage that?
yeah. I mean, I think whether you're an accomplished Olympian or you're an ultra runner, which Ashley was, or I think we all like set off the starting line just like, ooh, our legs are tired, right? Their toes, they feel, and then just like, but we also surrendered to the fact it's just like, we signed up for this, let's see what we got. And going back to like Istanbul, my was it fifth marathon, I ran a 3:49, so I obviously had something, even though I felt like it was a very much an unknown experience what I was going to feel. And the I guess the unknown there, and the precipitous like feeling of just being like totally exhausted, coupled with lugging your bags because when we got off the flight, we'd be taking our bags. So we covered a lot of mileage with our bags, and the sleep deprivation and all that. I mean, you're not sleeping that comfortably on a plane. However, my legs were hurting, my knees were hurting. I think after even like marathon two, I was feeling it. But then that went away. I didn't have any. I've had some hip flexor issues in the past. Nothing that was really like, other than just overall general fatigue.
Yeah.
Nothing, thankfully, that was really plaguing me. I will say at the very end, I ended with I think I lost one toenail and I had a back that just froze up right when I cross the finish line. And I think that's just a culmination of, lugging the bags and sleeping awkwardly and all that. And I got a cold, I think right when I got back. I hadn't had a cold in years. I think I got a cold when I got right back into the United States. But yeah, I think it's one of those things. I mean, and the thing is, and I didn't get to marathon number six. Like marathon number six smacked me in
Yeah.
the face. I don't like heat. We're in Cartagena, Colombia, and the heat index is 98. It's like an oven. And I was talking again with Jenny. She said, "Don't go out too fast. It's just hard to, once you overheat, it's hard to come back from that." And I'd experienced that before. Some people thrive off the heat. She actually, after saying that, went off and won that whole marathon. Uh, and that's where the Irish guy, going back to them, he actually dropped out with 2 miles to go. So never finished it, even though, and he was just going too fast. He was going too hard. He wasn't cooling down. I put ice bags on my head at
Yeah.
every turnaround, which is every couple miles. I would put an ice bag on my head, and he was a little bald guy, so they'd throw some ice on his head and roll right off. Right, he just wasn't taking care of it. And I would say, "Hey, take care of yourself, man." As I'd pass him, and then he would lap me, right? But he didn't even run the last one, unfortunately. So it'd been cool to see what he could have done, but uh, yeah, I think again, I think I take these things in stride. I'm not a really fast runner. I'm not a slow runner. They called me Mr. Consistent out there, just because I kind of kept that consistent pace, and I knew my threshold. I didn't want to gamble with that too much.
Yeah.
Of course, the last stretch in Miami, when I got back to Miami for the last marathon, I felt good for the last few miles, and I kicked into gear. And I think that's when my back went out because I jumped through the finish line. I could have did like a massive leap over the tape. But yeah. I mean, I think I know my body pretty well, and I think I have experienced enough where I could, um, it wasn't complete unknown territory to me, but it was yeah, it was definitely a very transformative experience, and I learned a lot about myself along the process. Just I think ultra marathons teach me a lot about myself as well. Just hitting those lows and kind of working through that is half the experience, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, I've always said is, during training for marathons, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about what you can do, what you're capable of, and also what you can overcome. And I think, yeah, definitely on for yourself doing ultra running and obviously other marathons. And for this, you definitely learn a lot about yourself. You learn what you can overcome, and that's amazing. There, even though. Yeah, you might not be a fast runner or a slow runner, but consistency. The fact over the 7 days you were very consistent, you were running at your pace, you knew what you're capable of. And I think that's amazing. Sometimes it's easy for us to get, caught up in the excitement and wanting to run a little bit faster, and then you're around other people that are running really well and you kind of want to, run with them. But the fact that you can keep it consistent, you know where you're at, that's amazing as well. That you just kind of kept ticking along, know what you're doing, and still got incredible times over, say, when you're even getting onto your sixth and seventh marathon, still pumping out those times. This is really impressive.
Yeah, that pacing became even more important, I think. And those are things I think I learned from the last ones. It's just, yeah, pacing. I mean, of course, when you hit the last marathon, you're like the finish line so close, right? But we were very spent. But yeah, through those challenges, and I think I averaged a 402 overall of all the marathons. The Columbia one, I knew it was going to be. I kind of resigned to the fact it's going to be hard. I'm going to run like a 430 is what I ran. I was just so happy to be done with that.
Yeah.
Probably lost a lot of weight through the amount of perspiration, but um, I think you grow like you often perform better when you also least expect it, right? So I think you just got to show up. Yeah, the consistency, like you said, like that and the longevity of running, I think should be rewarded just as much as, and I've heard, others talk about this, like just as much as the gold medals and whatever. It's about how much can you continue with your life? It's, it's a part of your life. You want to be doing it
Yeah.
ideally to your, in your late, your later years. And if it's not it's, yoga, whatever it is, just finding that and being consistent with it, and yeah, making it something that's where you're gonna, it's gonna test you a little bit. It's gonna make you uncomfortable, and you're gonna learn and grow through that, and be stronger because of it. There's a great quote by, I think, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who said that if you hide the mountains from the windstorms, you'll never see the beauty of the carvings. Right? We need to experience all life's vicissitudes and challenges and whatever they may be, and I think we all share that level of, some level of suffering, and that's what kind of sometimes we sign up for, right? But I think we do it so we can become, better human beings. And
Yeah, 100%. I
oh,
think it's that, as you say, we sign up for these because we want to, yeah, we want to challenge ourselves, but also we want to, yeah, be better about ourselves. We want to be better human beings, but also know what we're capable of. And I think, yeah, for you to take on the challenge, even the other challenges that you've done in your running journey to get to that point, to take on the challenge is just amazing. And yeah, say hats off to you for completing it in an amazing time. And obviously, before we just wrap up as well, if I always ask people a question about advice they give other runners. Now, I love it because we all have different, running journeys and running backgrounds, and we all kind of have different advice. But what sort of advice would you give someone that might want to take on this challenge of the 777?
don't do it. No. Hey, I mean, yeah, if you're daunted by it, a little bit daunted by it, go for it. I think the things that, also excite us most are the things that are unknown, right? And I think if you have the means to do it, and it's not, I think I wrote to one ultra runner who's got a huge following on um, Instagram, and he's just like, well, I said, and he does 100-mile weeks. He's done 100-mile weeks at least for the past 4 years. Like, he's never missed a week. And I was like, yeah, would you ever do this? He's like, no, too much money and it's not far enough or something like that. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but like, I think it just depends on, everyone's different, right? But I would say, yeah, I mean, if you have the means to do something like this, it's just a great experience. And I knew that the connections were going to be strong, the connections I've made, but I didn't realize they would be so large and significant as they were. Again, one of a person that I've become very good friends with, Jenny. She came and visited me here. She's traveling around the United States with her husband, and she's just they're both lovely people. They brought their dogs. They stayed at my house, and then I got to see her again in Bend, Oregon. I went up there for an ultra race, and she just happened to be in that neck of the woods with her husband again. We reconnected, and also with the winner, Hillary Capush. She won the whole thing because, like I said, the leading guys ended up dropping back, and one of them had to walk one marathon, and so she won like a 3:12 average or something. And she's awesome, and so I got to meet up with some friends up there. It was really cool. So the connections, I think, was a huge part of it. Yeah, I think everything that you expect, you're going to get out of it, and that much more. Again, it's not, not everybody can do it. Again, I feel fortunate to have had that money put aside, because I think now the price tag is set somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000. They've raised it a little bit to
Yeah.
do it, so it's not, you can do it in installments. And feel free to reach out to me, because I think I get a kickback if I refer you. So please call me. My number is.
Yeah, no,
But
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely reach out to Ben if you want to do it for sure. But no, I think it's amazing, Ben. And I really, I say hats off to you, and really thank you for sharing the journey as well and an insight into it. Because I think, yeah, a lot of people can obviously be put off by the price tag, and we understand that. Obviously, when you look at it and you look at everything that's involved, you understand what the price tag is about, and you get that. And I love the fact that you're able to, share your experience with us, and yeah, kind of like open up and talk about each race individually. I love that, and everyone had a different challenge. I'm really really thankful that you took the time to spend to share that journey with me.
my pleasure, Clint. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's nice to talk to a fellow runner on the other side of the world. Actually, in Australia, there's a guy named Goozy Thorpe. Maybe he's got a big following too. He's also a vegan. The guy, don't take, if you're listening to me, Goozy, Andrew, I love him. Doesn't necessarily look like your average runner. Well, he's got long hair. He looks like an ultra guy, yeah, for sure. But he's short. He's just like kind of stocky and great run. I mean, he kicked my butt. He's a phenomenal runner. Maybe it's the plants. I don't know, but he's over there. So I'd love to get back over there and connect with some of you guys one of these days. That would be really cool. I love
Yeah,
Australia.
a really big thank you to Ben. Thank you so much for joining. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you and for you to share your journey about the 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 continents. What an incredible achievement and what an incredible story. I just love the insight into that, and definitely some great advice and some great running there and some amazing people you met on the way. So I really thank you so much for sharing that with us. So Sydney Marathon is next week, and me and Clara are super excited to be able to go there. On the first year, it's going to be an official World Abbott Major Marathon. I can't wait for it. I'm really excited to run with Clara. We haven't run a marathon together for some time. So, as I mentioned before, I'm looking for redemption when I get back to Sydney that we get to complete together. I will be recording the episode from Sydney, and I hope to load it up straight away. And I'm very hopeful that Clara will join the episode and share her story of Sydney Marathon. And that's it from this week. As always, until next time, happy running.